Have you checked out the PTSD Wives Handbook? This book is for the wife whose spouse has survived trauma and is now navigating through mood swings, flashbacks, and mishandled emotions. PTSD can create a toxic home environment and cause a divide in the closest and most meaningful relationships. As a caretaker, the PTSD wife is finding herself at the receiving end of anger, aggression, and constant negativity. This can create a personal, mental, and spiritual health crisis for her. In this book, Coach Leah uncovers the hidden wounds of trauma and the effects that it can have on your relationship. Based on biblical principles, she teaches you the tools and resources that are needed to handle stressful situations and to seek help from the Lord and foster a deeper relationship with Him. By reading this book and putting the principles into action, you're going to learn how to take control of your life and grab hold of the power that lies within. Grab your copy of the PTSD Wives Handbook today by clicking the link in the show notes. Now, back to the show. It's the season finale, guys. We're talking about parenting children with special needs. So grab a friend, come on in, and let's talk about it. My name is Leah Huggins. I'm a wife, a mother, and a proud U.S. Navy veteran. After 2 tours to Iraq, my husband was diagnosed with PTSD. My world spiraled out of control as fear, anxiety, doubt, and depression took over. I gave my life to Christ, took on a new mindset, and let go of the negativity of my past. I now help wives to find healing, encouragement, and strategy to overcome the effects of PTSD on their daily lives and in their marriage. So come on in and let's talk about it. Welcome to Marriage, Motherhood, and PTSD. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Marriage, Motherhood, and PTSD. This is a place where we empower women to support their spouse and each other through PTSD without losing themselves in the process. I'm your host, Coach Leah, and I'm so glad that you joined us today. Well, you guys, can you believe we have made it to the season finale? We have come a long way, and I want to thank you guys for coming with me on this journey. All right, but more about that later. I am so excited about the show today. We're going to be talking about parenting a child with special needs, and even more so, we'll be focusing on self-care and soul care for those parents, okay? So we got a special guest in the building today, y'all. She's a military wife of going on 10 years. She's a parent to 2 boys, age 18 and 11, and she's a behavioral clinician. She's been working in the field of psychology since 2018. Please help me welcome to the show, Miss Tessa Taylor. Yay! Tessa, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yes, ma'am. We are so happy to have you. Let me tell you guys, I met this lady at a military retirement a few weeks ago, and our husbands knew each other, but we had never met. And we actually got to spend some time together. And when I tell you, it was an instant connection. All right. I knew right away that she was cool people. And after she told me what she did for a living, I knew that I had to have her on the show. So, and also, let me tell you something else. This lady is a party of one, okay? She is so much fun and full of energy and just a light, all right? The party is wherever she is. So, Tessa, I just want to thank you again. Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Okay. Hi. Hello. Thank you for having me, Lee. I love it. Love this platform. So my name is Tessa Taylor. I go by Tessa. It's easy for everyone to pronounce. So we'll go with Tessa.
Yes.
I'm 38 years old. I'm currently in Atlanta, Georgia, but it's by way of the Mississippi Gulf Coast and New Orleans, Louisiana. That's my upbringing.
Hey.
I lived in Atlanta starting right after Hurricane Katrina, 2005. Lived here about 10 years, and then the military just put us on the globe and spent it. So
yeah, I know how that goes. I've been on that ride.
Yes. I'm a mother of 2. Like she said, I have a college freshman, Cameron. He's majoring in information technology. I have a 11-year-old, Caleb, 6th grade, gifted by the grace of God. No more coming through the chute. The shop is closed down. I've been married to my husband going on 10 years. We've been doing this military life for 13 years. Thank God my husband retired in 2017. So we've put some roots down in North Georgia, north of Atlanta. I have an undergrad in science of psychology. I got my master's in science of psychology, and I have a specialization in applied behavior analysis. And what is that? ABA is probably more the common term. So my center focus now is specializing with kids with on a autism spectrum. So that's what I'm doing now. Just opened up a clinic. August actually, well, my own clinic of August of 18 this year. And I'm also co-owner of my husband's business, which is Hero Hands, which started residential, but we merged that into also offer like community services as far as doing reach outs and things of that nature. Just staying busy in our community, offering those services. So that's where my focus at today. Tomorrow might be different, but today I screw up.
I know how that goes. That goes. That is amazing. Tell me a little bit about your husband's business, Hero Hands. I just like the title of it.
I know, right? How that name came about. That's all I said. Go, give it to you and go with it.
That's right. That's right.
So we started that one like right before the pandemic, and it was just Hero Hands because we specialize in the military. He was a CS and then he transferred over to a CB.
Now tell the people because they may not understand that.
Military CB. Basically, my husband always says they call them the dirt sellers.
Okay.
They build up and they tear everything down electrical wise, engineering wise. That's what your CBs.
Gotcha.
So his trade naturally is just engineering. He actually is employed now. He's retired 100%, but he's also working full time with the federal government. But our business ventured into basically going in and doing commercial and residential improvements.
Okay.
So a little bit of
beautiful.
Whatever you needed a hero to put his hands on, we got you.
Gotcha. Hero Hands. I love it. I love it. Now, I want to talk a little bit about your business. So you started a business and it's called Social Circle 360. Tell me all about that. What do you guys do?
Okay, so starting off in autism, you're going to get two factors. It's going to be either clinical services that's going to be provided or in-home. And I've done a plethora of both since 2018. So what I've noticed just going into like my client's home and in the clinic is structure. Mm-hmm. And the focus is, as it should be, on the client, but there's a part that was getting left out into that treatment, and it was the 360 part about it, like taking your client and putting them in their natural environment, incorporating them into the areas outside of their home, inside the community, where their therapy needs to expand beyond. It needs to generalize into their communities. So taking a child, what you're teaching them in their comfort of their homes, teach them how to talk to people outside of that home, how to interact outside of that home, life skills. Beyond that, then there's a family sector. I always say when I'm going into a home, it's just not a one-on-one therapy. You have to incorporate the family, the friends, the community into that.
Absolutely.
So now with Social Circle 360, it's opened up the doors to offer the parent training, one-on-one for the parents, not even just for the parents. Sometimes you have friends that help. You have to pull your resources where you can. Yeah. So the doors are open to anybody who's actually interested in seeing what it feels like to incorporate themselves. So what do I need to do? We'll focus that care on just putting all that training into the child or to the client. But we need to teach ourselves how to incorporate ourselves into their world as well, right?
Yes.
So Social Circle 360 is going to be a fun house.
Yeah.
I always say, and it's not just for kids with autism. After the pandemic, a lot of people have introverted themselves and excluded themselves from the world. So now we're opening those doors to not just people who have an autism diagnosis. It's a lot of people who are inverted, want to meet friends, kids moving to new areas. So basically, we're going to host those parties. The kids who might feel a little insecurity about going to the homecoming, guess what? We're going to have one at Social Circle 360.
I love it.
Come on, gamers, just looking for your tribe. We're going to create those tribes and open up the doors to everybody and bring them in. So it's different dimensions, different levels of what we'll be offering. So field trips, girls' day, parents' night out, game days for our kids, planning. I mean, we're just going to pull our community in.
I love that. I love it. And community is so important. We're going to get into that a little bit later. But I love that you're bringing everybody in. And I love that statement that you made, that it's about the family and being able to come into their world. We're going to talk about all that later. This is so good. You're already getting into the topic already. I do want to know though, how did you get into the field of the therapy and what you're doing and working with kids with autism?
Not on purpose, accidentally on purpose.
Accidentally, hey, on purpose.
Um, so prior to this, I worked in ophthalmology for 11 years. So worked in different facets of ophthalmology, like all of the specialties, and just come into contact before you get to, well, what's wrong? You know, you have to build rapport with your patient, you know? So in building a rapport, I found myself just sit back in my chair. And it's like, this is therapeutic for me. Like, it's just a psychology of like people. I always loved that naturally.
Yeah.
So I think it was in my undergrad. I met one of my professors, who's one of my mentors, Dr. Friday. She worked for the CDC for 36 years.
Wow.
Powerful Black woman. Like, she set the groundwork overseas for just bringing in and a lot of things that she did overseas. One woman. So she just put it out there. She was like, I think one day in class, she was just bringing in different people from different fields. And then she pulled me to the side and she was like, Tessa, you need to look into just this field of psychology alone. She was like, it's so broad. She was like, find your lane. So just started to take her, you know, her recommendation.
Yeah.
She sent like job listings and we had to apply to these job listings, fake job listings. But one job listing I actually seen, I did it in real life. So
okay.
It's for ABA therapist, which is you work with kids that's diagnosed with autism and actually have a diagnosis. So that was the groundbreaking thing for me. I went into it and it is challenging, but I fell in love.
Wow.
I don't see the same thing every day. And then the light came on, like, it tugged at my heart. You know, when God sees something for you, where you belong, when it's like, honey, I'm home.
This is it. Yes, absolutely. That is beautiful. So, what do you find are some of the things that parents are dealing with when it comes to caring for their child with special needs? Like, what are the challenges that they're facing?
Oh, goodness. Every parent, I start my session with a hug.
Wow.
Because you can't put in words what they can't even really put in words. It's just what I'm dealing with today.
Yeah.
They outweigh tomorrow, like we don't know. It's a lot. It's just that mental battle of trying to understanding the many roles that you're already, the shoes that you're filling. If you're a mother, if you're trying to hold down a job, being outside of your household, an aunt, a grandma, just trying to keep yourself identity, and then parent a child that has doctor's appointments. Maybe not a good day today. You know, it's like you have to put yourself on the back burner. That's one of the things that I come in and I sit my parents down first before I even start anything with the client. We actually start with our parent training first. And the first thing that I'll ask the parent is, who are you? The shoulders are just dropped.
Yeah.
They've invested so much of what my child needs. They've actually forgot that you have to exist fully for your child, because this child is we mimic the environments that we're in.
Yeah.
So just asking someone, what do you like to do? You can tell me everything about your child that you know of ought to be true, but you can't tell me the last time you've ever just pat yourself on the back, took yourself for a walk. Did something fulfilling for yourself, invested in yourself. Your child is watching this, no matter what that disability or inability is. You know, because every shortcoming is not a disability. It's just an inability right now, today.
Wow.
We're going to work on that. We're going to work together. You know? That's usually why I start that journey is we're going to build together. So I'm not just going to come in your home, be secluded to my child is doing this. Okay. So what are we going to do together? Because we have to fix ourselves in one unit, you know? So
that's exactly right. Yes, I love that, because again, it goes into the fact that it's the family is a unit. And it's really about figuring out what's going on with the family as a whole. I love that. Now, I dare not go by and let this episode, go by without talking about the importance of having a strong foundation of marriage. Because the tests and the trials, they will challenge your marriage, definitely. When you're talking about something as sensitive as, your children going through something, that's something that can easily tear apart your marriage. It can tear your family apart.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's one suggestion definitely that I would have is to make sure that you're continually working on your family and working on your marriage and being there and making time for each other, communicating your needs and being able to hold each other up during those challenging times. Can you talk about the importance of the relationship of the parents and how that can affect when you're parenting, not just a child with special needs, but just parenting, period?
General, and that's like very important because that marriage is the head of that household. That marriage, not that one, but that marriage is the head of that household because our kids are watching.
That's right.
Our kids are watching. Manifest those relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So special needs. I always say, especially if you have not even just a child with special needs. Special needs go beyond that because your husband has special needs that he needs catered to. You have special needs that you need catered
Amen.
to. If the sibling that has a diagnosis needs the special needs for that one, and the child in that home or sibling that may be neurotypical, we have to actually. I always say we have a girls' night so often that's talked about a boys' trip, but it's like our kids. Each child deserves a different version of parenting.
Yes.
Our husbands, just different versions that we give ourselves at different parts of our life is requirement. So as far as a family unit, go back into going into a household. Date night, my parent training night out is, guess what? Drop and go.
Yes.
Cater to your marriage.
Yes, right.
Build on that because it can be that to have a support to be a parent of a child with special needs requires two strong leaders in their household because you're not gonna. One day I might be 80%. I'm gonna need that other 100% from you.
Mm-hmm.
If you give to me, I need that 100. I need you to be 100 today.
Yeah.
So those days, you just have to have that strong support. Even for that's coming into the household, the family and the friends. And don't be afraid. I always say this. It's a lot of people, there's nothing to be, that was apologizing for their child's diagnosis. Don't apologize for who God made your child.
Yes.
Don't apologize for that. That's what we're focusing on. Take that focus off of what's lacking. I don't care what the special needs is for that child. There's a gift in that child. Shine that light on that gift.
Yeah.
Same thing within our marriage. We focus on what we're looking for to increase, or the behavior we're looking to decrease. Look at that support of that behavior that you want to actually increase in that child. And we'll see, not even just with kids.
Yeah.
Our relationships will manifest more like that.
That's right. That's right. Can we talk for a moment about dealing with the other kids in the house that may not have special needs? You kind of touched on that a little bit earlier. And what challenges can that present? I'm thinking in terms like dealing with jealousy or resentment. What are some things that we can do to ensure that the child feels seen and heard and, doesn't feel like they're getting the short end of the stick from the parents?
And that's true. And that's something that is just seen in the household because you do. Mm-hmm. Negative reinforcement is something that, you can get that behavior over and over again. So it's just like, again, that family unit is very important. But if you do have those kids, give them the one-on-ones, Yeah. That's that energy into the kids. Take them on dates for what they like to do.
Yeah.
Usually we do a family trip. Mom plans it most of the time and she picking everything and then you just put on an agenda,
Guilty.
I know all of us, right? We're going here, we're doing this, and you better love it.
That's right.
Use my kids for an example. I have one child that's introverted and one that's extroverted. On trips and we just thinking this is the best thing in the world. And it's like, can I go back to the hotel room? I'm like, yes.
That's a fight. That's a fight in my house. I done spent all this money. We going to Wally World and we gonna have fun.
Yes. So these are things that I do in my everyday life. So just like last weekend, my son, he's like it's a science. He loves it. So so my son's school actually hosted like a STEM day from 9 to 3. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, he had the time of his life. That's for you to enjoy this together.
Yes.
We'll turn the page for the next day and focus on. So just individualize and then know who and what we're dealing with. That's why I have to parent you with what you're giving me. That's what I want to see. Deal with what's in front of us,
That's right. Each child is different too, definitely, personality-wise. Mm-hmm. Yep. So how can we go about getting the entire family involved in caring for the child?
So, and that's very, it's multifaceted.
Loaded question.
Because I always say take the labels off, because when we do focus on, we always say caring for just that disability, right? Take that label off. We're focusing on that inability.
Yeah.
There's something that everybody is confined to in their home, that just being in the home together, maybe it could be a movie night. We all have to eat.
Yeah.
That's something that everybody has to do. I always say, usually, instead of taking a want, take a need and build upon that. We all have to eat. So now every day we're going to be mindful about maybe sitting down to eat. It doesn't even have to be dinner. It can be, I always say with kids,
Yeah.
Right. They'll run to the table quicker for cookies and cakes than they would for maybe mom's pot roast. I don't know. Take those little moments and build upon it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's good. That's good. So what, and I know that you deal with autism specifically, but just in general, what are some of the signs that parents should be looking for that may indicate that their child may be dealing with some sort of condition that, you know, is a special need? Maybe like it's not obvious in the beginning. So what should they be looking for?
Right. So you can get an autism diagnosis, God willing, if you can get in, because now just getting a referral, actually getting a consultation to get the diagnosis.
Yeah.
Last couple of years, this wait list has been years. So I work in early intervention. So we're starting with kids as early as 2 years old. So they're just things, and I always say every child is different. But some of the more common things that you'll get with a child is being nonverbal. They're lacking that eye contact. We always say stereotomy or stimming, you know, just that constant flapping and moving of the hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Light fascinations, like maybe just streaming in that constant and staying like super focused on one area. I always say like super A-type.
Right.
Super A-type for the ones who are actually verbal. Taking longer to get potty trained. Just a focus. And a lot of things with parents, a lot of their pediatricians are missing like little notes. I always say the parents is the first one to diagnose and the first one to treat. So I'll go to my parents to get these indicators of like at what point, because you'll hear a million different stories. Like the first 2 years, nothing. Then that third year, those little flags start popping up. You know, that your pediatrician might have missed.
Yeah.
It may be even a sibling. So it's just like be open and mindful of knowing your child. And if it is something that red light comes on for you, make note of that. Don't just push it to the side. You know, because I always say early intervention is the best intervention.
Absolutely. And that comes with being with your child and spending time with them, definitely, and having that relationship where you can notice when things are off. So I talk a lot on this show about dealing with secondary PTSD and caregiver burnout, where, you know, a person that's caring for someone with whatever type of condition they have, you know, that you can experience a trauma of your own, basically, you know, especially in cases like this, where you're literally on an emotional roller coaster. You know, you have those extreme highs and those extreme lows, and it can just be a lot on a person. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, I've experienced burnout even in my field, and I have the option of coming in the home and walking out. God, the ones who just, it is a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. So this is something I haven't had to train myself upon, of understanding of you have to pour into yourself. You cannot pour from an empty vessel.
Absolutely.
You know? And it shouldn't just be, this is something that needs to be done intentionally and daily. So starting your day with prayer, meditation that works for you.
Yeah.
Working out, keeping a clear mindset, you know, because what you're signing up for is you're taking that weight and you're putting it on your back.
Yeah.
It is a lot. Caregiver burnout, as far as just helpers, school teachers, it's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It is a lot.
Yes, yes. So I want to talk about dealing with the emotions of the parents, because a lot of times we focus on the need of the child. And of course, that's what's important. Absolutely. But as you said, we have to take the time to focus on ourselves. I think a lot of parents may find this hard to do. Like they may think that it's something selfish. Or that, you know, they have to be strong for their child and family. And I don't have the time think about me, and you just have to put your feelings and your emotions aside, because there is this bigger picture out here that, that you have to deal with as a parent. And how dare I be stressed or depressed and angry and feel guilty because my child is going through this, but as you just said what I was going to say, that the saying goes, you can't pour from an empty bucket. So I want to talk about, how can parents deal with the emotions that they're feeling, and what can they do about them? What do you find most parents struggle with?
Most parents struggle with, and I'll say this over and over again, we'll seek therapy for our kids, but neglect ourselves for therapy.
Yeah.
Seek help for what you're suppressing. It's so easy to go out and get a therapist for their child and take a breath. Now, guess what? There's a second part of that. Now you have to take care of you. Take care of you. If it has to be marriage counseling, if it has to be one-on-one therapy for yourself, get a mentor.
Yeah.
A wellness coach. We have touch someone, grab onto someone's hand, because this is not an easy road. And I always say, psychotherapy and ABA therapy is two different therapies, Yes, they'll get comfortable. And I was like, whoa, that's for me. I'm my mental, because it's to do going into a household, and it's like you find yourself running in circles, but ain't my ministry. Listen.
Let me point you in the direction of somebody that can help you.
Yes. I love it for you, but I would every day, Go seek that help for whatever you're dealing with as well.
Absolutely. Now, I would imagine that a lot of parents would be dealing at some point with guilt, thinking, what did I do wrong? What did I do? What did I miss? I even heard a lady talking the other day about how she was getting this guilt from the outside. People were asking them, and especially them family members, telling you what you did wrong, and, things like that, because everybody, especially family, they got something to say about your parenting. So how can parents overcome those feelings of guilt and remorse and shame, and, the why me's and why my child?
Yeah. Again, like I said, take that. That's where the spiritual comes in at. Right? Because if we look for the world to get that affirmation, it's going to be a depressed day every day. God doesn't make mistakes, And for whatever reason, it could be a million reasons. Focus on what we're dealing with. You're going to get those naysayers. And I always tell them, that guilt, you're actually dealing with neglect.
Wow. Okay, park right there for a minute. Tell me about that. You said with guilt, you're actually dealing with neglect. Tell us about that.
Because now you're internalizing the situation you have no control over. Your feelings is actually being neglected by the people who you supposed to love and support you.
Yeah.
We can't put something that you have no control over, put that on our backs. A lot of parents carry that. Like, why me? No, we can't think like that. Change that trajectory of what we're actually dealing with. Listening to places that we're going, because we can't change the minds of the people around us. Nobody can do that.
That's right.
Even that person can't do that. So it's just like, understand, again, putting yourself first. Put yourself first. Put yourself first. You have to put yourself first. The leader is not at the back of the line, they're at the front.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That is good. I never thought about that. You're dealing with neglect. That's absolutely true. I see that. See, I'm learning already. Now, I would also include, definitely a lot of times we can self-sabotage by the way that we talk to ourselves in situations. And we have to be mindful, about the things that we speak and the things we say about our situations and our loved ones that are involved. So yes, I just wanted to add that in there as well too. So I definitely believe in mind, body, and soul connection. It's all about balance, and maybe not necessarily balance, but definitely all of them working in harmony. I believe that when one of them is off, that it throws the rest of them off, so you have to tend to each one individually because they're all important. Yes. And so that goes back to the why me question. I know that a lot of parents and people in tough situations like this that may be dealing with a crisis. They're actually dealing with a crisis of faith, like you said. It could be that their prayers, they feel their prayers have gone unanswered. They might be mad at God. They may feel like God has turned his back on them and that he doesn't care, or maybe they just simply don't believe, or they don't believe anymore. What would you say to the parent that has lost their faith?
Find it.
There you go.
Find it, just straight up find it. Because one thing I always point out coming into a household is, and you don't even have to answer this out loud. It's like, what are you dealing with? Keep it to yourself. What are your husband dealing with? What is your neurotypical child? We're all dealing with something because we're human. Mm-hmm. It's just like the focus of this child it seems bigger to the family because we focused on that,
Right.
It's like what you put your energy on is going to compound. Keep looking at something. Keep thinking about something over and over in your mind. Guess what is that psychoanalysis going to do?
You magnify it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. Yep. Now, one big thing that I am learning on my personal journey is that depression takes many forms, and it's not always about wanting to hurt yourself or to harm yourself. It really can be just, sinking into that dark abyss. Like, what's that movie? The Sunken Place,
yes.
And for me, depression took on the form of isolation. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be in social settings, but I found myself getting really comfortable with being alone and not in a healthy way. On the weekends, I would always turn down invitations to do things, and I just would rather sit on my couch and cry all day. I wasn't being social. I wasn't being productive. I wasn't taking care of myself. And literally, I was just sitting there just doing nothing. And, although I was able to find my way out of it, I still find that at times I have to be careful because I can go right back into it. Right. So what are some of the signs that parents should look out for in themselves that might show that they may be dealing with some type of depression, and what should they do about it once they recognize it?
It's that, and I always say before it's outward, it's mentalistic first. Like you said, it's in different forms. It may not be an actual something tangible or visible that you can see, but always start mentalistic first, inside of us first. Like you said, it can be either I'm not feeling good today turns into tomorrow turns into the next day. It's hard to get out of bed, irritable to everything. Yeah. But there's also another side of that. It's a lot of people who are overpour into everyone else. That's a sign of depression as well.
Wow. That would be me too. I'm getting a whole session here today.
I would say, don't get it twisted. The ones who's everywhere doing stuff for everybody.
Yeah.
That's left for you. That could turn into the night as well. There's so many factors what that looks like for different people. So I would say it starts internal first. And I would say there's seasons. 2 seasons. Always a season for harvesting, and it's a season for reaping. But a lot of times society has made us think that time for harvesting, we plant that seed. Nobody ever seen somebody out there actually planting that flower, planting that seed. They just notice that tree, that growth after that. But if that season was necessary first, it requires a little bit of seclusion, right? But it's just being mindful, What am I doing in this season? You find a purpose. Even in that quiet space, those thoughts become actions. Yep. I do it for myself. Last year, I did it for an entire year. And I knew it. Like I had to tell my husband, I was like, this year, I'm shutting off. I have to shut off everybody. And that's one of the hardest things that I had to actually make a commitment to, recommit every day. Right. I can't go here. I can't answer this phone call. I can't be everything for everyone else. And then internally, I'm telling myself, it's depression. But I had to click on and understand it was necessary. Yeah. Now we're seeing the harvest, Yes. Everybody's looking at the harvest and clapping. And I'm looking back, at those days, those down and out days. And it's like, it was necessary. Yeah. Find that purpose.
Absolutely.
Those seasons of what comes with that.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about the importance of community. We touched on that earlier. Tell us about the importance of community in having the right people around you and building the right support system.
Oh, that's everything. Yeah. And I always say we military So one thing I learned in the military is your family does not have to be blood related or
That's
kin.
right.
You know, you can find a
Absolutely.
stranger. We moved to the area that we're in now, and when we first moved here, it was just myself and my husband.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, 1, 2, 3, 5 or 6 military, our family is here now.
That's right. That's right.
Just a phone call. And where you guys actually put roots at? Bought a house. The next one, bought a house. You know, I love that.
Yeah.
Outside of our family, we have a big family anyway. So it's like
Right.
the married. But your community. And it does not have to I always say it, certain people play certain positions in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You
A
know,
reason or for a season.
it's the reason for it. Somebody has to be there. I always say, especially we'll go back to having a child with special needs. You know, talk to other parents. Don't just hold that in. It's easy to talk and have somebody relate to you who's
Yeah.
actually went through what you went through. A therapist
Right.
can say that if you never dealt with that, I can sympathize, but I can't empathize with you. I haven't
Right.
done that, you know? So it's kind of touch, reach out and touch somebody.
Yes.
It's a real better place, you know? But
Yeah.
I always tell them, find somebody who you can actually take a little walk with, take a little stroll with.
Yes.
Doesn't have to be best friend or buddy, but somebody that you can just pick up the phone, talk to, maybe go get coffee, even pair your kids for play dates,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So going back to that mind, body, and soul conversation, can you tell us a little bit about the importance of taking care of yourself physically, like sleep and nutrition and exercise, things like that, and how that connects to your overall health and well-being?
That's everything,
Yeah.
you know, especially sleep. We
Yes.
undermine a lot. We're in a hustle mentality. Work, 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 work. Okay, do that in real life and see where you're going to end up at, you know?
Right.
You're going to find out real quick, you know? There's time to work and there's time to rest. The sun comes up, but it also goes down, you know? Give your time body to recharge. Stop beating yourself down. Stop beating yourself down. That same energy you as if that goes as for working out, eating and clean if you can, drinking water, go and see a doctor.
That part.
You know, and following up on their recommendations when they give it. We can be hard headed sometimes. I know my body. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we understand. But this
Right.
is not optional. Self-care is necessary, especially to fill all the shoes and roles that we play on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
be intentional about your health care, your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Don't diminish. Another thing, you'll get a lot of people that they'll work out.
Mm-hmm.
Put that same energy into your mental health. It's still health.
Right. It's still health. Exactly.
The health is just not summarized to just the body.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I look good. But how do you feel?
Mm-hmm.
What are you seeing? And when I say
Mm-hmm.
what you're seeing, it's not your vision. It's like, what do you see this world as? I can have on, what do you see this world as? That'll let me know how you're mental, the shape, you know?
Wow. This is so good. I'm enjoying myself. I just want you to know that this is good. So I know that, a part of this process, as with many other process, is dealing with fear. Fear of the unknown, what's going to happen, fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of pain, and fear of letting go. That's just a few. What are some of the things that parents can do to try to overcome their fears about the situations that they encounter in dealing with parenting?
Remind yourself, when we birth our kids, they don't, a book, a know-it-all book does not pop out after that placenta, right? That book is not already written. We're scripting that page one day at a time. Give yourself grace.
Yeah.
You know, because we have to understand too, we may be raising a child at a certain age. I'm raising a 3-year-old, but guess what? I've never seen this 3-year-old in this stage of their life, but I have never seen myself at my age in this stage of their life. Learn from each other, especially from our kids. Our kids can teach us a lot of things about ourselves.
I love that. Learn from each other. Learn from your kids. Oh my God, the lessons that you get.
Humble you real quick, right?
Yes.
Like, what I do? No.
Absolutely.
So I would say that fear.
Yeah.
It's a lot to be scared of, but there's a lot to be excited about as well.
Yeah.
Shift that focus. Enjoy the ride, because guess what? You blink your eyes and that 3-year-old and turn into an 18 or 19-year-old real quick.
Real quick.
And they say day to day, I stress that every day.
Yeah.
Today is what counts. Today. Pour all into today. Tomorrow will worry about itself.
Yes, that
You
is
know?
absolutely. Oh, that's so good. So, I definitely, when I think about fear, I definitely think that planning in advance, that would kind of help to alleviate some fear. Having a game plan for the things and the situations that may come up. In the military, we call this having a contingency plan, right?
Right.
So once a family has a diagnosis, what are the first steps that need to be taken, and what should we be preparing for?
You can't.
Uh,
So
ah,
we that we'll call like a preference assessment, right? It's a preference
Mhm.
because that may not be what we choose. So preference assessment is we'll come into a home and we'll just watch first,
Yeah,
because we're actually that child is writing that treatment,
yeah,
what they like, what they don't like, what they may be interested in, what's aversive to them. We
mhm,
have to watch first.
yeah,
Like you take what they're giving you first. Take what they're giving. I can't. Maybe I think they'll like and then give it to them.
yeah,
It doesn't work like that. Since I've said start with today. Whatever ingredients we have in the cabinet today, let's cook.
right.
Come on, let's find out what we'll make some gumbo with it. Whatever
There you
ingredients
go.
we have. We can plan, but good luck
Gotcha.
with that.
Right, right. I got you. That's good. That's good. Some things you can, and that brings in the learning as you go,
As
as you
you go.
said.
That's exactly what it is. All it
Hmm.
is. Learning as you go. Because what
Yeah.
worked yesterday, what might have been reinforcing, yesterday, today, not so much.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So, how can parents find peace and joy in parenting through these hard times?
If you're married,
Yeah.
your best friend, your support system,
Yeah.
lean. When I say lean, I mean a hard lean.
Yes.
If your happiness, it starts within happiness period starts with us first.
Right.
So invest in yourself first. And I always say, start small. If you have to be intentional about just taking 30 minutes of a hot bath and locking that door every night, put on
Yeah.
some meditation music,
Yeah.
whatever it is, find that happiness within yourself first.
Yeah.
Because we can't see in somebody else what we don't have in ourselves first.
Absolutely.
So I always say,
Absolutely.
start with that foundation first, which is you. If you're going to be that strength and your husband, lean upon each other,
Yeah.
invest in that relationship, that unit,
Yeah.
and move as a unit.
There you go. What resources are available for children with special needs, and how can parents find out what's available to them?
So the first place I always tell people, because it's so many different insurances, but I always say start with your insurance first. They'll have a list, even if and I always say most consultations are usually um, consultations through ABA services. You can either call, but they
Mhm.
usually require a diagnosis from psychologist first.
Yeah.
But you can always just call your insurance, and then they'll email you a list of, depending on what your insurance is, if it's a HMO or PPO, of
Yeah.
what type of clinicians or service providers in your area,
Yeah.
and start with there. Your local social services, reach out to them. Their
Right.
services, a lot of people, I don't know for what reason, they're not even the first place they think about, but they have all of the state funded services on hand,
Yeah.
federal, community,
Hmm.
some churches, depending on if they cater, but it depends.
Yeah.
But reach out.
Yeah.
Google search Facebook. Facebook is actually one of my favorite places
Wow.
because reach one, teach one. You ask one question on a Facebook mom group, and then you're going to get different aspects from around,
Yes.
you know.
And that goes back to that community, people who have been through what you've been through and can tell you what worked for them. Yep, definitely.
Even my parents have put me on to a lot of clinicians, and then like advisors and psychs, and just different types of specialty care, like occupational and speech,
Yeah.
and clinicians outside of the United States.
Yeah.
Just getting different points of views and see what works for you. So it's just like I always say, that telephone and that internet,
Hmm. You got the world right here. The
Yeah,
world is right here.
oyster right there.
That's right. That's right. Well, we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier about, how we learn from our children. What blessings do you find, or what blessings can parents find in what they learn from caring for a child with special needs? So, what blessings have come out of that?
So I always say kids will humble you really quick,
Yeah.
right? But they'll also point at your strengths.
Mm.
You know, the things that I just look back on my son, 18 years. My other son, he's 11. And just maybe the day before yesterday, my son had to go get a radio put in the car that he's driving.
Yeah.
So he FaceTimed me and he put the manager of the shop on the phone. And he said, ma'am, you've raised a very respectful young man.
Oh.
You know, like, I hope you know that. And my son just smiling in the background. And I was like, that's the one you have to affirm. Certain kids require certain things, affirm and everything. I was like, I know.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's just what he requires. But just getting that affirmation outside of that, that foundation, kids gonna conform to you differently in your household.
Yeah, very true.
I always say what happens outside in the natural environment for me. That's that round of applause for me of like,
absolutely.
He heard everything we were saying, even though he acted like he didn't.
Yes.
So just
have it.
Yes.
To have it to come back to you that, man, I did that. I did something good.
Have those conversations and wait for that answer. I was like, about just being mindful of the company that you keep at this age, going to places like this. This is a different time for these kids.
Mm-hmm.
Social media is another thing. It follows you forever. Be mindful of that.
Yeah.
Watching really how their behaviors tell a story.
Right.
That's
true. That's true. So, what would you say to the parent that is overwhelmed and they find themselves struggling in caring for their child?
Mm-hmm. Find what they need.
Mm-hmm.
Find what you need. Mm-hmm. If you don't know, look for it.
Yeah.
Ask. We have to be open to it as well.
Yeah.
Because I've come in a lot of situations where parents, number one, it's hard to ask. I get it. But then once, sometimes you'll have that other spouse. That's usually how it would go. You'll have that one spouse, usually the mom, who's there on boots on ground, like I say.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that'll work outside the home. He'll come home, but he's only getting that interaction from 6 to bedtime.
Right.
Now, he's out again. I get that.
Right.
So just like understand what you need. You have to be whole.
Yeah.
From the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, you have to be whole. Invest in yourself.
Yeah.
I always tell them, what did you do before you had kids?
Yeah.
What did you do? Who were you? That's why I said,
who are you?
Who are you? Not what you do. They can't come in the house and tell me what they did for a living. No, that's what you do for. That's your job.
That's right. I tell my kids, I was so cool before I had y'all. I just want y'all to know how cool I was. I used to have it going on, buddy.
Yes, like, come on, you think you just got that out of nowhere?
Right. Well, you know what, Tessa, I thank you so much, for coming on the show. Definitely. I felt like I did a session. I really learned some good things. Now I'm not dealing with a special needs child. But I think it's universal. The things that we talked about today, they're definitely universal. So I know that this blessed a whole lot of people. Did we miss anything? Is there anything left that you want to say?
No, I think we got to the meat and potatoes of it.
Well, I want to invite you to come back anytime you want, definitely. If you want to contact Tessa, we will put her information in the show notes. So you can find out more about what she's doing. If you have any questions or anything, definitely we'll put her information in the show notes. Well, Miss Tessa, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. I always love talking about us first. Poor.
Yes. And I could tell that definitely in our talk today. Well, you guys, as I said before, this is going to be the last episode of the season. I know. Don't worry, though. We will be back in January with some new episodes. But the fun doesn't stop here. So be sure to check us out on social media. And the website and the links to all of that are in the show notes. All right. And go back to listen to some of those episodes, those past episodes. All right. I want to hear from you guys. What do you want to talk about? I want to hear your stories, your questions, whatever it is you want to talk about on the show. Okay. So between now and then, I'll be getting my Oprah on. Okay. And I'm going to share with you some of my favorite things over the holiday seasons. So we'll go back and we'll take a look at some of my favorite episodes that we did this past season. All right. And I'll give you a sneak peek of what's to come in the new year. All right, you guys, that is my time for now. But until we meet again, I want you to be encouraged, be empowered, and be blessed. Peace, y'all.